Hey, it fucking worked. That's fantastic. Hey, what's up, everybody? Eric Obrant, Be Authentic or Get the Fuck Out. Adam Patterson with SMA Support Services. And we are setting up to do another live webinar on how to utilize VAs inside of your organization better. I think that's the real key here is how to do shit better. Ooh, see, that's better. Now they can see more of us, more better. Before people start jumping in, I'm gonna talk about your attire. Because you look like you have a fucking game to go to.
Yeah. You know what? I don't have a game to go to, but let me tell you something. You find a passion in life, Eric, and you know this about your Chiefs. You live that goddamn passion. So I'm a University of Maine alum, and there is nothing to do deep in the middle of the woods other than to watch Division I college ice hockey and drink. And I spent a good, handful of years watching a whole lot of college ice hockey and drinking. And, since I graduated, the team has been a steaming pile of dog shit until these last 2 years.
Yeah.
And this weekend, they've got an opportunity. If they win both games this weekend and BC loses, they win the Hockey East regular season. Hockey East, for those who are not well informed, this is like the SEC football of college hockey.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, this is where all the big dogs come to play. So we are fucking back. We are big time back. I'm pumped. I can't wait. Every year I say if they make the Frozen Four, I'm going. And generally they either don't make the tournament or they get their dick kicked in the first round. But there's like a real number 5 in the country right now. There's a real shot for me.
Isn't UNO good?
They are. UNO's pretty good. We kicked your ass though. 2 games sweep on the road in Omaha this year.
Okay, well, fuck UNO then, I guess. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, let's make sure this is all fucking working here. I'm not really good at this because I don't have Lexi here anymore to watch. But it looks like we're live, so we can go ahead and can you see it on your phone?
I don't. My phone's charging.
Oh, well, that's not very goddamn helpful.
No, you know what though? It's Eric. It's because I'm being attentive. I'm fully focused on you and our time together.
I know, but I sent you a text to share the live.
Oh shit. Oh, hold on. Well, that's not helpful. Do you want me to go grab it? You can do that.
Oh, there it is. Okay, it's running. I just wanted to see that it was running. So we're good. All right, cool. So today, everybody, thanks, Cody. So today, everybody, we want to talk more about VAs, how to implement them into your business. The first time that we did this webinar, we talked about implementing them into your sales process, right? Talked about how to do some more revenue producing activities or to give our revenue producing people the opportunity to sell more revenue, right? That was kind of where we were working last time. And so this time, tell me, you sent me a text, but you're smarter than me. So what were the couple of ideas that you wanted to dig in on today?
Yeah. So whenever I think of utilizing any kind of resource for your business, right? My first question I ask myself is what's my ROI period? What's my payback period? How do I shorten that considerably? And absolutely adding additional top line revenue, whether or not that's putting my reps in their green zone so that they can sell more week over week, or so that I'm maximizing the top end of my funnel through rehash and re-nurture. So I'm getting more deals, I'm getting more at bats, I'm bringing more revenue to life. Right? That's my first focus. My secondary focus is how do I protect my bottom line? Right. And whether or not that's how do I get my receivable a whole lot faster so that I don't have exposure and risk that lives in the business, i.e., my storm and my storm and restoration rep who says I'll go pick up that last depreciation check when I need the money, not when my business needs the money. Or that homeowner who's I've had this check sitting on my table for 6 weeks and no one's told me or come to pick it up. So I kind of wanted to get a new water furnace anyway, so I'm just going to go replace that. And
they love spending their fucking money right before Christmas too.
Okay, right? Yeah, it's the best. Shit. Yeah, we love those depreciation releases that come in those September builds, and they come right in the middle of November when I want to start my Christmas season. Yep. So, and we're not communicating with the homeowner directly about when it's coming, why it's coming, what it's for, scheduling the pickup for the rep to ensure that we get it. So the industry average, particularly around storm and restoration contractors, the industry average is 68 days as measured from date of final invoice to your final check pickup. Right. So that's 2 months of dead money. And the reality is banks are not going to treat a post 90-day receivable. They're not going to be well, yeah, insurance companies take forever to pay, so I'm not going to penalize you on that on your line of credit. No, they're going to fucking ding you every time. That's their goal. That's what they're there to do.
Right.
So your job is to make sure that you don't roll past that 91 days or more. And if the average is within 20 days of that, and the externality to prevent that rolling over is your sales rep who can't even put notes in the CRM, you're probably going to hit that 91st day. And I talk to a lot of contractors that do, and right, whether or not there's like an issue on the job, there's something that's going on, anything else. So the good news is for our clients that are using the AR component of the way that we work with insurance companies to speed up depreciation releases, to get file updates, and then to manage the communication directly to the homeowner. Our clients are averaging 6.5 days, again, as measured by the date of the final invoice and that final check pickup. And that looks like things like, hey, I'm going to match our final invoice to the insurance final payment to figure out whether or not State Farm is fucking me and not going to pay me for like drip edge, right? Not going to pay me on the fascia damage, or like the interior work that we had to do because that leak got so substantial, or the decking that we had to replace, right? That they've been fighting me on, but finally agreed, like, yeah, I can't put a roof on a moldy deck. So, and a big part of it's that, but the other, bigger piece is like, getting those depreciation releases and getting those final payments. It looks like emailing insurance every single day, calling the adjuster twice a day, right? Like who's...
No, wait, I want to back up a little bit here, because that fucking number that you just gave, if I was just watching this randomly, I'd be like, and you're fucking full of shit. So if you're going, if you're going from, you're saying that the average in the industry from invoice sent, and when you say invoice sent, you're saying invoice sent to the carrier and the homeowner,
correct?
Right? Is 68 days or 63 days or whatever the fuck, right?
68, yeah, from final invoice to final payment. Yeah.
From final invoice to final payment. Now, but the second statement is what I don't understand. You're saying that it changes to what?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. I'll show you a reporting dashboard for one of our clients. This is...
Because I can't even get the insurance company to send a check that fast.
Yeah.
Or even reach anybody.
$1,500 million in storm work last year.
Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on. That isn't in the stage. I got to share it in the stage.
Share it in the stage.
There we go. Okay, go ahead.
This is $1,500 million in storm work. That's 1,143 jobs. That is less than a week in terms of final invoice to insurance to final check pickup, right? So yeah, in general, our clients are anywhere from 6.5 up to 14, 2 weeks. I mean, the reality is like it's consistent in direct communication with the carrier, consistent in direct communication with the homeowner, not just like right before that final payment, but at every phase of the job, so that we can be proactive in identifying issues. Like if reps are great at one thing, it's generating revenue. If they're not great at
I think a reasonable number is at 10 to 14 days.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And that's a game changer, right? I mean, even getting to 10 to 14 days, just because of that continuous follow-up. And so for a real life example, like for me, I mean, we utilize this inside of our company, with our team at SMA, and we have somebody that like literally all they do is every single invoice that's been sent, they're following up every 24 hours. I don't even know the cadence, but it's a lot. And they're literally just emailing all the time saying, did you get it?
Three phone calls and one email every day to the carrier on the invoice.
Right. So, and they start to get pissy, but who gives a fuck?
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's it, right? The reality is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. In mortgage companies, I'd see Kenny's note, mortgage companies add another layer to that, right? The other piece of the mortgage company is the reality is like every insurance company thinks they know exactly how the mortgage company wants to handle that process. Wrong, right? They'll like endorse, they'll send it to the mortgage company who will not endorse and just send it directly back to the homeowner. So like being able to call the mortgage company in advance to be like, hey, there's a check coming from insurance. This is what I need you to do, right? Or I want to be sure that we follow your process exactly appropriately. Can you send this to the homeowner? Can you give me the FedEx information so I can let them know what they need to do, right? And whether or not they need to endorse to send directly back to the mortgage company for deposit, right? So just staying in touch with who's the carrier, who do I need to contact? What do I need to do to ensure that this happens appropriately to match their system? Yeah, the mortgage company checks are add another layer to that process.
Yeah.
Insurance will place a lot of trust in like, we do this all the time. I know what we're doing. No fucking way. No, they don't. Right.
Yeah.
They, frankly, don't give a shit if you ever get the money. So
yeah. So so accounting side, so invoicing, like that's a big thing because we sit on money for fuck ever. Yeah. Right. I mean, we sit on money for a really long time. And when you're having AR meetings and that number starts creeping up and you're like, wait, how am I going to pay payroll this month? And I got $500,000 out in AR. Like that's wild, right? Yeah, go ahead.
The other piece, right, is that when we think about protecting bottom line, the other thing that I think, like whether or not you use a VA or not, everybody should be doing this. Your distributor creates incentives for you to pay those invoices as quickly as possible. And your distributor makes it as hard as possible to figure out what the fuck you're paying for, because they're putting SKU numbers, not specific line items. They're aggregating like 2 weeks of orders together. They're throwing it all in, right? So like, hey, I might order from a 3-letter distributor and they might ship from a different warehouse than my typical warehouse. And then that price is going to match that local warehouse, not what I've agreed to with my local rep. And all of a sudden I've got 40 squares of material for a big job that I was doing that they didn't warehouse locally. And I'm paying like $6 extra per square because I'm not getting my regional or agreed to price. And I don't really have time to review my master SKU price list and my invoice to understand whether or not what I'm paying is accurate. We had a client last year that we saved $150,000 just by identifying wrong pricing based on SKU number on each invoice that they got from the distributor, but B, tracking credit memos as well for like shit that went back that they weren't getting credit for. Right. And we're so busy all the time. We kind of just place implicit trust that like everyone's got my best interest at heart.
Yeah. And let's say that you like, and we've got a decent process, before this, where like we were at least checking, like we're checking margins, right? And like we'll have a monthly meeting and be like, hey, where's that outlier? But we would never dig into anything unless there was that outlier. And it's like, wait, all these jobs should be at a 40% margin or whatever, like random number.
Yeah.
Why is this one at 25? Right.
Yeah.
And so we'd go dig into that one. But as long as it hit that red line number, we wouldn't dig into anything because we were quote unquote good. Right. But like you said, if you go back, I mean, I remember even talking to Joe about this, but like go back on your last year just to go through your old invoices, right? And having somebody do that to see how off they may or may not have been. Because it was a reason that we stopped working with a certain supplier was because they would, without telling me, start creeping up all of my fucking accessory pricing. Because they're like, well, I gave you this deal on the shingles, but then they didn't tell me that all my fucking accessory pricing kept creeping up. And all of a sudden I was paying like 30% more for accessories by the end of the year. And it's like, you didn't fucking tell me you were changing my accessory pricing. Like that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a major deal. And again, like the way that they systematize this, they mean 5 days or less. I'm going to get you another point, right? And so we go to, it's like, well, whatever, I'm getting another point in the back end. There's like a little bit here or a little bit there. What does it matter? Well, you can still get that additional point and ensure that you're credited for what your pricing should be.
Right.
Through that distributor, right? You
cool.
Have it both ways, but it takes time and a time investment. I mean, right? Like it's the one thing we don't have enough of.
Yeah. Okay. So the accounting side, that's really interesting. Let's go into another option.
Yeah. So I would look at, again, so if I'm protecting bottom line, AR numero uno, I'm looking at invoicing, invoice review through distributors, manufacturers, etc. It's number 2. I'm looking at ensuring that I'm getting the right rebates for manufacturers is number 3, right? Am I registering all of my product that I'm buying through my distributor with my manufacturer rep, right? Are they cataloging everything that I bought through the distributor appropriately? Do my rebates match what I was promised by my manufacturer rep at the onset of the season? Any opportunity for error or to like put an extra 1 or 2 points in someone else's pocket? I hate to break it, babe, but that's the way that capitalism works traditionally, right?
Right.
Like, no one's out here on the aggregate doing things in your best interest. That's not what this system is about, unfortunately.
And we all know, know, like we might have somebody in our office that does that occasionally, right? I think that the real thing that I want people to like understand is what's cool about having a team and having like an SMA team that is building this out and building out helping build out the SOPs for it. And I'm going to go back to this every time because this is why I'm in love with, what we do together is if something happens to that person and they can't work anymore, there is already a contingency backup to take care of it. And then an automatic plan to bring somebody else in and get them trained because the SOP has already been built and stored inside of the system. Right.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it internally, a lot of times, like you might have your office girl or your whoever, that's like doing that work. And then if they're gone, nobody fucking knows how to do it. Right. Like nobody knows what that SOP is and really understands like, well, Susie used to do that, but well, Susie's not fucking here anymore. Right.
Yeah. We talked about this last time, right? Which is like, the Bureau of Labor Statistic tells us, U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says, if I hire somebody in the U.S. for $25 an hour or less, on average, they're lasting with me for 60 days approximately. Right. So said differently, if they're any good, I have to figure out, fuck, what do I promote you to so I don't lose you, right?
Right.
Because you're not going to stick around doing this shit forever. If they're bad, I'm thinking about like how uncomfortable do I have to make you so you quit? And if they're average to mediocre, which the overwhelming majority of them should be, you're keeping your fingers crossed. Like, please make it through this fucking season so I don't have to restart this. Like, I don't want to retrain someone in August. I don't have time for that, right? Like, let's just get to November and then we'll figure something else out. And there's a whole other way to approach that workflow that doesn't put the onus and the pressure on you to figure out how that work gets done and gets done successfully. But contracting out these things that are like, you know, at the end of the day, time consuming, a pain in the ass, but fairly fucking easy, is 1,010% the way to go.
It's easy for the right people.
Sure.
Right. And that's the thing, is that it's easy for the right people, because what I've learned about, like, myself, and for anybody watching that's an owner, is like, most of us as owners are visionaries and have these really good ideas and know the things that we want and need, and whether it's reports or data or info or whatever, but we don't necessarily always have that integrator skill set or that admin task oriented skill set to be able to do that. And when you can build an entire team outside of that so that I can have that information, because when I have that information, I'm able to make decisions on whether I'm buying new equipment or if I'm hiring new people, if I can afford to hire new people, do I want to open up a new location, whatever it is. And I have to have that team. I mean, and you know this, I made a rule that, like, if you don't have anything to do in the field in my company, you don't work here. I've got this big, beautiful fucking office, right? I've got this nice, big fucking building. And like, anybody that works in my office has to be customer facing at some point, at any point inside of their job. To be in my office, you must be customer facing or in the field, right? So your QC, your sales, you know what I mean? Whatever. But like, if you're not working at D&M.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, there's beauty in that, right? Your labor burden is substantially lower, particularly if you're doing commercial jobs, right? Like, if I don't want to pay, just as a point of reference, when we talk about protecting your bottom line, you may or may not know this, but when you go to pay taxes at the end of the year, if you've got labor costs that are administrative or operational labor costs that are associated with a long-term commercial project that you didn't complete in tax year 1 and rolled over into tax year 2, what you're doing with that labor cost is you're re-inventorying it, and then you're paying taxes on it, right? That is fucking insane. So you know, and then whatever, you can claim your tax savings when you complete the project in the following year, et cetera, et cetera. But
Right.
You're burdening yourself with a tax that you do not need to carry, when you could roll that expense over to SG&A, beyond the fact that you're not paying insurance, you're not having the risk of unemployment,
Right.
You don't have the risk of like Davey, the guy that likes to have a handful of beers on Friday afternoon and run his mouth saying something incredibly inappropriate to make that person want to quit and turn around and sue you.
Yep.
Right? Like, there's not a reason to carry that kind of risk. I mean, your job as a company owner, ultimately, you know, drive revenue, achieve your mission, but reduce as much risk as possible. Right?
Yeah, our whole job is to limit liability.
Right.
Like,
so
that's the whole game. is limit liability. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing to do that?
Yes, and I, like, you know, it's funny, the number of folks that I talk to every day that are like, oh yeah, you know, I've decided I wanted to bring my wife in to be the office manager, and you know, it's me and a couple salespeople. You know, I think about, like, for a moment, do you understand the relationship dynamic here? Like, if all of a sudden I'm working for a guy whose wife's sitting in the office all the time, it's going to have a direct impact on my employment experience. Like, you know, whether or not she could be the coolest woman in the entire world, I'm going to be impacted. I might feel a little less comfortable in my job every day. It might make me more likely to be like, you know, in those moments and times of stress, which are bound to happen in a high velocity environment, that might be one of the first things that's like, fuck, man, I don't want to, like, I got like my boss and his wife spying on me all the time. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Like, there are 1,000 places I go sell roofs. Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
I will say the best thing for my relationship, because Natalie's like amazing at accounting and all the financial stuff and everything, but having somebody that is dedicated to her so she can do high level, like CFO-y type shit.
Strategic
And,
things. Not
what's that?
Strategic, not tactical.
Yeah. Like, to get her out of all of that stuff has literally, like, completely changed our relationship as well. Right. Because it's not this constant fucking like, well, what do we do with that? What, like, I've gotten all of that shit off of her plate so that all she has to do are like these 3 tasks every week, right? Or review these things that come through every week. And if you are a business owner that like has, if you work with your spouse, right, which a lot of us do, which is amazing and it's awesome because you get to build this company together and you get to do all these things. But I know anybody watching that has done that, right? It does cause a stressor, right? It causes a huge stressor. So like one of my biggest goals was to figure out how to fire my wife so that we could have a better relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And I haven't fired her because like I trust her with the money and I know that she's really good at that. But I got all of the stressful work part off of the plate and it completely changed how we get to interact on a daily basis. So SMA, saving marriages.
Yeah, exactly right. We know. Yeah. But it's an impeachment though, Eric, right? Which is the component of like you don't want to hire your wife to work in the business so you can work on the business, right? Because you're setting up an inequitable partnership.
Right.
Like eventually that's if it doesn't create a problem at work, it's gonna create a problem for you at home 1,000% of the time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. When you have to reiterate, remember who's the fucking boss, honey. Like that.
It goes over great. Yeah, because those tend to go over perfect.
Yeah, it goes over fan fucking tastic. Let me tell you, because I've had to say that before, and then and then if I ever actually slept on a couch, would have been the time that I would have slept on a couch. Yeah. So, all right, we got about 8 more minutes. Or I know we like to keep these at 30, so let's throw one more out there.
Well, actually, I have a question for you.
Oh, let's go. I love questions. Yeah. No one ever asked me questions.
I've got a big important question, okay. Mr. Oberheimt. What was this industry post that ruffled feathers today?
Oh, it was nothing. It was
no, it's not nothing. It's got to be something.
No. So somebody posted yesterday, it was Noah actually posted yesterday. He was just getting engagement and he posted something about fucking people, paying deductibles and shit. Oh, yeah. And so I made a comment like a fucking idiot, like I should never have gotten involved, like because I forget how dumb people are or inexperienced or just like they don't know what they don't know, but they think they fucking know everything. And like trying to explain, like they were like, well, it's legal, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, look, it doesn't have anything to do with the state that you're working in. It has to do with who you're sending the fucking invoice to. Yeah. And then when people are like, you don't have to send an invoice, you just tell them it's done. And I'm like, in what fucking world is that how it works? Like, as not, no, fuck. And like, and at first I'm trying to like be nice and explain it and whatever. And then they're like, it's not. I'm like, you're fucking retarded. Like, I can't have a conversation with you like at all. And so like, yeah. I'm done trying to help people that don't ask for the help, right? If they're just fucking stupid and they think they know everything, then you fucking know everything and you will be out of business in a year or two and good fucking riddance. I've just decided that I just don't fucking care. I don't need to do that. If somebody calls me and is like, hey, can you help me with this? Dude, I'm your guy. I love fucking helping people. I'm done helping fuking idiots.
Yeah, Hazel, I'm right there with you.
Sorry, I get a little fired up. I got no time for fucking.
Right there, I saw that post by Noah, and I get shocked that people still do that. I'll tell you a good funny story. There was some time ago when we first started our advertising campaign on Facebook. Someone whom we had never spoken to, but I believe might be associated with a competitor of ours, had commented on a post under our Facebook ad. Don't do business with these guys. That's it, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I want to be like. If we've done anything to upset anyone, I want to understand that. If there's anything we can do better, I want to understand that. So name wasn't at all familiar to me. And I clicked on this person's profile and the banner ad behind the profile was, we pay your deductible. It gets better. And we negotiate on your behalf with the insurance company.
Oh,
it's like, double fucking whammy of breaking the law. Here we go. Right? Like
Jesus Christ. Wow. So they're violating UPPA laws in fucking public on Facebook. They're going to end up on Steve Badger's fucking stupid shit people say or whatever it is on the weekly basis. That just, it blows my fucking mind. Like I'm shocked daily that there's people that are actually like certain people are in business.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like what shocks me are states like Ohio or Texas where there's no laws around having a registration. Where like in Texas, every single time it hails, every asshole with a pickup truck is a fucking roofer. Right. And it's like, at the end of the day, like laws around business registration are consumer protection laws, and they're there to protect the homeowner. And like, that's something we should all advocate for. We should all believe in.
And a lot of states don't, but a lot of municipalities do.
Yeah.
Right. So like Nebraska doesn't, but Omaha does. Right. So like then you got to actually learn that. Right. Because a lot of them be like, oh, Nebraska doesn't have them. Then they'll come in and try and start working in Omaha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes,
They
sir.
don't even know. So what's the next new exciting thing for SMA coming up? Anything? Or what's the next big thing, exciting thing for Adam coming up?
Next big exciting thing for Adam coming up. That's I don't know.
Okay.
I live a pretty boring life. The next exciting thing I'll tell you with SMA is we started to take on doing a lot of data migrations. So around data migration from going from XCRM to YCRM. That it just frankly the only way to do that successfully is brute force and like 100 to 120 hours of dedicated time, things that a lot of roofers don't have handy. And so we're trying to, I think, democratize the ability to get from one CRM system to another, so that like you don't have one rep who's like, hey, I haven't moved my data all the way over, so just keep putting shit in whatever system you're comfortable in, and then all of a sudden it's August and you've been running 2 CRMs the entire year.
Right.
You don't have a data set, a consistent data set to get an understanding of how your business is performing, your sales funnel is performing.
Right.
So we found that we can get these moved over in 1 to 2 weeks tops, depending on the data set size.
Which is crazy.
And
one thing that that I will say about that real quick about CRMs, just since you brought it up, I think there are absolutely times that you need to look at switching to a CRM that's going to provide you extreme value, like way more value than what you have right now and what you're doing. I will challenge people though, before you fucking do that, figure out if you're actually using yours. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think that it's this quick fix of like, hey, we'll use this new CR, whatever. Most of those people though don't even have the right data that you would need to migrate, because they're, you know what I mean? They weren't using it the right way in the first place. All they were doing is storing a few clients in there.
I talk about this all the time. It was just on a podcast with Elizabeth Lytle and Contractor Dynamics talking about this, which is like, ultimately, if I'm making some of these software changes, what it's a reflection of is I've got an operational challenge within my business. And too often I find guys that are just like, well, throw the software at it and that'll fix the problem. Right. Which is like, no. But you got to fix the operational gap first. And then if there's still something that needs, you need to address, and technology can help you address it. But the number of roofers that I see that have like wildly underutilized softwares, right? It's like turns into
probably fucking all of them.
Yeah, most of them, right? We go to a cool conference and we see something looks neat. And we think, well, I could use that in my business. And then I don't think about at all how I'm going to bring it to life, who's going to own it, right? What the steps are to make sure that I'm getting the most value out of it. There are too many vendors that are happy to get us to give them money and not really terribly interested in making sure that we're getting value out of the investment that we just made them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because the CRMs that come to you that already have a plan of how you could switch, like those are the ones that are going to be successful, right? Because otherwise all you're doing is selling to new companies. Right. Then that's all you're doing. But if you come to me and you say, hey, here's my lined out plan of exactly how and when this will happen, and this is the time frame, and this is when you'll be ready and up to speed, and you don't have to do fuck all other than give us everything, and then we'll train you on how to use it, right? That will interest me. Like, I'm done. I'm not doing anything. But like anybody that's like, say in year 2, 3, 4, whatever, and they're like, you know what, this isn't exactly what I needed. I do need these other features. I need these other options, and whatever. If you come with that, with a true plan, and say, I've got a partner that will do it inside of SMA or whatever it is, like that's how you sell that, right? Like and I would never switch to AccuLynx, but like they must call me fucking 98 goddamn times a week and fucking send me text messages and like, are you ready? And I'm like, fuck you. Like, not even kind of. But if you would send me something that says, hey, if you wanted to do this, here are the steps of how we're going to make it fucking work for you. Yeah. I would at least be like, thanks, right? Like maybe now we have a conversation about it, but nobody else is doing that.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do. We notice that they're not doing it too. Yeah. So we're trying to do that ultimately, like, we're a mission-driven organization, right? Like, A, I want to create as much economic opportunity for the families and communities that we serve in the Philippines. And B, I want to create as much like peace of mind and quality of life for the roofers and exterior contractors that we serve here in the US. So I'm always kind of looking at the playing field and going like, no, this person's getting fucked over there, and I think I can fix that, right? Or like, that guy's getting fucked over there, and I know that I can fix that. And so that's like every action that we take as a business and as a team is driven by those two missions.
Yep. Yep. So what I'd like to tell everybody is like, so our plan is, as long as schedules align, Adam and I are going to try and do these webinars twice a month, to be able to give people some value of like, give them ideas of how you can utilize, putting a VA team inside of your company. I get on calls with guys, you'll refer people to me to be like, hey, can you tell them, like a little bit about what you do and how you utilize our team and blah, blah, blah. So, hopefully they'll end up signing up and whatever. And obviously more than happy to do that. Love doing it. But every conversation that I end up having with them is this, and they're like, I don't know what to give them. Right. It's like, I don't know what to give them. I don't know what to give them. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to do these webinars is like to get people's wheels spinning with like, oh, fuck, I could give them that. Oh shit, I could give them that. I could give them that. Right. So that it opens up that dialogue a little bit more. And the other part of it is that you have to remember that it's also not a magic fucking pill, right? You do have to put in a little bit of work, just like you would if you brought in a new employee to say, hey, let's sit down and actually truly build out these last SOPs, right? So that we can truly build it out so that everybody knows what it is that they're going to be doing moving forward. If you're not part, you have to be part of that solution.
Yeah. And ultimately, right, we talked a minute ago about your job as an owner is to reduce risk and liability back to the business 10,000%, right? So like the number one risk inherently every one of you has in your business is key man risk related to you as an owner. And it's probably central to the fact that you've not documented processes. You've not figured out how to recreate that long term. Right. It makes it, at the end of it, depending on what your exit plan is, significantly harder to sell. So like, why not build that in, right? And make it a little bit easier to build in out of the gate.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish I had a magic pill or a magic bullet. That would be fucking sick. But
say that again.
I wish I had a magic pill or a magic bullet, right?
Right.
That would be
sick. I mean, the fact that I know that all of my SOPs live somewhere, right? Like they literally live in a fucking box so that if like somebody new comes in or we scale, right? Like, cause that's the whole conversation too, is like, oh, we're scaling. So I need 3 more people that can do this.
Yeah.
And that can be implemented in a couple of weeks. Fuck. Great. Normally it takes a few months, maybe.
Yeah.
And then to your point, they quit in 6 months and then you got to do it again. Oh my God, blow my fucking brains out. Like that's just like, that's the worst. Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So anyway, Adam, anything else you want to close with before we wrap this up? Because we're going to do these twice a month. Go Maine
Black Bears, baby. Let's go, Maine Black Bears. We are going to kick shit this weekend. BC's going to lose tonight, and Maine is going to fucking win the Hockey East regular season. We are going to the Frozen Four, and Eric, you're coming with me. We're going to St. Louis to watch Middle College hockey this year. So
okay.
if you make the Frozen Four, you got a date.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Who's BC playing?
I don't remember. It might be UMass. Yeah.
Is UMass good?
No, actually, we might be playing UMass. It's like really Maine and BC at the top of hockey.
Does BC have a chance of losing though?
No, probably not. But if I like cross my fingers enough, maybe. We're playing a couple of bottom 2 teams. They've only got 1 game. We've got 2. So if they win tonight, they automatically win. If they tie and we win both games, we win. Or if they lose and we win both games, we win Hockey East. So.
Got it. Well, I'm excited. I'll be checking my fucking ESPN app to see how Maine's doing. I don't know if hockey even comes up in my app to be able to see scores, but I'll add it tonight.
Yeah, it's on ESPN Plus, brother. That's how I've been watching.
Oh shit. Okay. It's on the Ocho. So,
yeah.
I think there is an Ocho now, isn't there?
Maybe. I don't know. There was for like a little bit. They did that little joke after the dodgeball movie.
There was, because like I remember during COVID, I turned it on and they were playing fucking bags. They were playing like professional bags on the fucking Ocho, and I was sitting there watching it because there was no fucking sports on, and I'm watching these guys play cornhole, like professional fucking cornhole. It's amazing. All right, Adam, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll drop a link when this is going to go again. It'll probably be in about 2 weeks. We try to do these on Thursdays. I was supposed to be traveling yesterday, so we did on Friday. But we'll kind of pick the best day for everybody as we see what kind of feedback we get. But the last thing I wanted to say was write down some questions. So if this is interesting to you, drop some fucking questions in the chat or send them to me, send them to Adam, whatever, and then we'll make sure to address them in the next webinar so that everybody's getting as much value as humanly possible. Okay. All right, Adam, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.